My mill secretly DNA tested all 3 of my kids, then called me garbage at a restaurant when she found out my oldest daughter isn't my husband's. She had no idea about the truth behind it. I never thought I'd be writing this post, but I need to get this off my chest. I'm Laura, 43F, and I've been married to Davis, 46M, for 23 years. We have 3 kids, Angie, 17F, Jack, 15M, and Sammy, 8F. 2 nights ago, my mother-in-law Karen, 68F, invited us to dinner and dropped a bomb that has shattered our family's peace. Davis and I struggled for years to have our first child. We met in college, married at 22, and started trying for a baby right away. Month after month, nothing happened. After 3 years, we went to a fertility specialist who diagnosed me with polycystic ovary syndrome. The doctor prescribed medication to help me ovulate regularly. IVF wasn't an option for us back then. We both worked entry-level jobs and barely made ends meet, let alone afford expensive fertility treatments. The medication seemed to work. My cycles became more regular, and the doctor told us to track my ovulation and time our attempts accordingly. We felt hopeful for the first time in years. Then something terrible happened. Davis worked night shifts at the warehouse back then. His brother Mike often picked him up because we only had one car. One night in April, while Davis was at work, someone broke into our house. I was alone, watching TV in our bedroom. I heard glass breaking downstairs. Before I could call 911, a man in a mask came into our bedroom. He had a knife. What happened next is something I tried to forget for years. The man robbed our house, but he also attacked me. He sexually assaulted me. After he left, I called 911. The police came, took my statement, and I went to the hospital. The nurse gave me emergency contraception. I took it even though I knew it might interfere with my fertility medication and our plans to conceive. I didn't have a choice. The police never caught the man. The case went cold. I tried to move on with my life. Davis was my rock through it all. About 3 months after the attack, I started feeling sick every morning. I lost my appetite and felt down all the time. I thought it was depression from the trauma. Davis suggested I take a pregnancy test, just in case. I did, not expecting anything. When 2 lines appeared, we were shocked but thrilled. We thought the fertility medication had finally worked. At my first doctor's appointment, the doctor did an ultrasound and told me I was 15 weeks pregnant, not 8 weeks as we had calculated based on when we thought conception occurred. My heart sank. The timing aligned perfectly with the attack. I had experienced some irregular bleeding after taking the emergency contraception, which I mistook for periods, throwing off our timeline. Davis and I had a long, difficult conversation that night. I offered to terminate the pregnancy, but neither of us wanted that. We saw our baby on the ultrasound screen. It was our child, regardless of how conception happened. We made a pact. We would raise this child as ours. Davis said he didn't care about biology, he would be this baby's father in every way that mattered. We decided not to do a paternity test. We would tell our child the truth when they were older, and they could decide if they wanted to know more. 9 months later, Angie was born. She was perfect. Davis cut the umbilical cord. He held her first. No one could have loved her more. A year later, I got pregnant with Jack quickly and easily. This reinforced our hope that Angie might be Davis's biological child after all, despite the timing. Sammy came 7 years after Jack. 5 years ago, the police called. They had caught the man who attacked me. His DNA matched evidence from several unsolved cases, including mine. Last year, he was finally sentenced. I gave a victim impact statement at the hearing. Davis came with me for support. Our older kids knew I had been attacked before Angie was born, but they didn't know the full details or that the attack might have any connection to Angie's conception. The man received life without parole. The trial was closed, with limited information made public. Davis and I thought we could finally put this behind us. The night after the sentencing, Davis drank more than usual. He told his brother Mike some details about the case that he hadn't shared before. That night, Davis talked in his sleep, saying things like he couldn't protect me and wondering what if Angie wasn't his. He didn't remember this in the morning. Mike apparently told his wife about this conversation, and Karen, Davis's mother, overheard. She knew about the break-in and that I was attacked, but not that it was a sexual assault. Based on what she overheard, Karen concluded I must have cheated on Davis. Last Christmas, Karen gave Angie a 23andMe DNA test kit. No one else got one, just Angie. I thought it was odd but didn't think much of it. Angie was confused by the gift and offered it to me since I'm adopted and had mentioned wanting to learn about my genetic background. I took the kit and gave Angie an Amazon gift card of the same value. In the months after Christmas, I noticed Karen making strange comments about Angie's appearance. She would ask things like where Angie got her eye color or why she was so tall and thin when neither Davis nor I have that build. Angie is 6 feet tall and athletic, while Davis and I are both average height and on the heavier side. Our younger kids look more like Davis. Angie noticed the comments too and asked me why her grandmother was being so critical lately. I confronted Karen about it, but she dismissed my concerns, saying Angie was just being sensitive. 2 nights ago, Karen invited Davis and me to dinner. She specifically asked us to leave the kids at home because she had something important to discuss. We went, expecting maybe a health issue or something about her will. During the meal, Karen handed each of us an envelope. Inside were DNA comparison results. When I asked what they were, Karen looked at me with hatred and said I was garbage, just as she had always suspected. She had compared Davis's DNA to Angie's. The results showed no paternal match. Davis looked devastated. I called Karen a heartless witch, and we left immediately. I blocked Karen's number on my phone and the kids' phones. I left it up to Davis whether to block her on his phone. The next day, Karen called Davis. He went to her house after work. She tried to justify her actions, saying she overheard Mike talking about Davis's doubts and assumed I had cheated. She urged Davis to leave me. Davis told her she had no right to interfere in our lives this way. He told her he was cutting contact with her. To counter her narrative about me cheating, he revealed the full truth. I had been sexually assaulted, and that was possibly how Angie was conceived. Karen tried to apologize after learning the truth, but Davis refused to accept it. He told her not to contact any of us again. Davis came home that night upset and hurt. He said he had always known it was a possibility that Angie wasn't biologically his, but having it confirmed was still shocking. What hurt him most was that his own mother would go behind our backs, test our daughter without consent, and reveal such sensitive information in such a cruel way. I called my siblings to let them know what happened and that we would no longer be in contact with Karen. Most of them supported our decision completely. 2 of my 7 siblings, along with Mike, said that while Karen's methods were wrong, they could understand why she acted that way, given she believed I had cheated. I disagreed strongly. Nothing justified what Karen did. Now we face the hardest part, telling Angie the truth. We've all been in therapy since the attack. Davis and I see therapists individually, and the kids go periodically. I scheduled an emergency session with our family therapist to help us tell Angie. I hated that we had to do this now, on Karen's timeline, rather than when Angie was older and ready to hear it. Angie took the news better than I expected. She said she wasn't upset that we kept this from her but was upset that the information was forced on her before she was ready. She thanked me for sharing something so painful from my past. Our relationship hasn't changed. If anything, she and Davis have grown closer. She's been spending more time with him, going fishing and working on his old car together, things they both enjoy. We told Jack the full story as well, and Sammy only knows that Angie has a different biological father. Karen obtained the DNA samples from items left at her house during the kids' overnight stays, toothbrushes, hairbrushes. Angie never provided a sample willingly. Due to the unreliable method Karen used, Davis and I decided to do an official DNA test. The results confirmed what Karen found: Davis is not Angie's biological father. Angie is our daughter. She was conceived in violence but raised in love. Davis has been her father in every meaningful way since before she was born. We're getting through this together, as a family. We remain firmly no contact with Karen. Some wounds heal, but others leave scars that remind us of what we've survived. Update 1: It's been 3 weeks since I posted about my mother-in-law revealing the DNA test results. A lot has happened, and I wanted to update everyone who offered support and advice. The day after I posted, Karen showed up at our house unannounced. Davis was at work, and I was home with Sammy. Angie and Jack were at school. I saw her car pull into our driveway and immediately felt my stomach clench. I told Sammy to go play in her room and not come down until I called her. Karen knocked on the door, holding a large gift basket. I opened the door but stood firmly in the doorway, blocking her entry. Her eyes were red and puffy. She tried to hand me the basket, saying she wanted to apologize in person. The basket contained expensive chocolates, wine, and a card. I refused to take it. Karen started crying, saying she had made a terrible mistake and wanted to make things right. She claimed she never meant to hurt Angie or break up our family. She just wanted to protect her son from being deceived. I told her that her actions showed exactly who she was, someone who cared more about biology than the 17 years Davis spent raising and loving Angie. Someone who would violate our family's privacy and trust. Someone who would call me garbage in front of my husband. Karen tried to explain that she didn't know about the assault. If she had known, she never would have done what she did. She begged me to let her see her grandchildren, especially since Angie now needed all the family support she could get. That comment made me furious. Angie didn't need family support as if something was wrong with her. She needed protection from people who would hurt her, like Karen had done. I told Karen to leave and not come back. As Karen was walking back to her car, Angie's school bus pulled up. Angie got off and froze when she saw her grandmother. Karen rushed toward Angie, arms outstretched. I stepped between them and told Angie to go inside. Angie looked at Karen with such hurt in her eyes before walking past us without a word. Karen called after Angie, saying she was sorry and that she loved her no matter what. Angie didn't look back. That night, Angie told us Karen had been texting her all day, asking to talk. Angie had ignored the messages but felt uncomfortable. We helped Angie block Karen's number and reported the situation to Angie's therapist. 2 days later, Mike called Davis. He said Karen was a mess and that our refusal to let her apologize was cruel. Davis told Mike that Karen had lost the right to be part of our lives when she decided to interfere in such a destructive way. Mike revealed something disturbing. Karen had not just tested Angie's DNA against Davis's. She had somehow obtained samples from all 3 children and tested them. Jack and Sammy's tests confirmed Davis was their father. Karen had planned to use this information to convince Davis that I had specifically deceived him about Angie, while being faithful during the other pregnancies. This information made Davis even angrier. Karen had violated not just Angie's privacy but all our children's. A week after Karen's visit, Angie came home from school upset. Several of her classmates were treating her differently. One girl asked if Angie was the product of a rape and if that made her half criminal. Angie was devastated. We discovered that Karen had told her church prayer group about Angie's true parentage, supposedly asking for prayers for our family during this difficult time of revelation. Someone from the group had a daughter at Angie's school, and the information spread. Davis called Karen that night. It was the only time I've ever heard him yell. He told her she had betrayed Angie in the worst possible way, spreading private information that wasn't hers to share. He said if she ever tried to contact any member of our family again, we would get a restraining order. Karen's response was to send a mass email to family members, including my siblings, claiming Davis and I were punishing her for telling the truth and keeping her from her grandchildren. She painted herself as a victim and suggested that my instability due to my traumatic past was causing me to turn Davis against his own mother. Most family members ignored the email or responded privately to tell Karen she was out of line. But my sister-in-law Beth, married to my brother Dan, forwarded the email to me with a note suggesting we were being too harsh on Karen. She said Karen was elderly and made a mistake out of love for her son. I responded to Beth with a detailed account of exactly what Karen had done, the DNA testing without consent, the public revelation at a restaurant, the cruel words, and the gossip that led to Angie being bullied at school. I asked Beth how she would feel if someone did that to her daughter. Beth apologized and said she hadn't known the full story. Davis and I decided to meet with Angie's school counselor and principal. We explained the situation in general terms, that private family information had been shared without our consent and was leading to bullying. The school was supportive and addressed the issue immediately, speaking to the students involved and having the school counselor check in with Angie regularly. Angie has been incredibly resilient through all this. She told me that learning about her biological origins answered questions she'd had about herself, why she was so tall when the rest of us aren't, why her eyes are a different color. She said it didn't change how she felt about Davis. He's still her dad. But she admitted to being curious about her biological background from a medical standpoint. Davis and I talked it over and decided to get Angie a proper genetic health screening. The results showed she has a slightly elevated risk for certain conditions that don't run in either of our families. This information is helpful for her future healthcare, so at least one positive thing came from this situation. Meanwhile, Davis has been struggling. He puts on a brave face for the kids, but I've heard him crying in the shower. One night, he asked me if I ever wondered what our life would have been like if the attack hadn't happened. I told him I didn't let myself think about that because it would mean a life without Angie, and I couldn't imagine that. Davis nodded and said, "She's my daughter. DNA doesn't change that. But I hate him, the man who hurt you. And I hate that my mother made Angie feel like she doesn't belong in our family." We're taking things day by day. The kids seem to be adjusting. Angie and Davis went camping last weekend, something they've done since she was little. Jack has been protective of Angie at school. And Sammy, who doesn't understand the full situation, has been asking fewer questions as the household returns to some normalcy. Karen continues to try to contact us through different family members, but we've stayed firm in our decision to keep her out of our lives. Some days are harder than others, but we're getting through this together. Update 2: It's been 2 months since my last update, and I wanted to share what's happened since then. About 3 weeks after my last post, we received a letter from an attorney representing Karen. The letter demanded grandparent visitation rights with all 3 children, claiming that our sudden termination of Karen's relationship with her grandchildren was harmful to them. Davis and I consulted a family lawyer. She informed us that in our state, grandparents can seek visitation rights under certain circumstances, but they need to prove that losing contact with the grandparent would harm the child's well-being. The lawyer advised us to document all of Karen's harmful actions, including the unauthorized DNA testing and the sharing of private information that led to Angie being bullied. The situation became more complicated when we discovered that Karen had been contacting Angie through a school friend's phone. Angie hadn't told us because she didn't want to make things worse. Karen had been telling Angie that Davis and I were being unfair, that she had a right to know her grandmother, and that she should convince us to allow Karen back into our lives. Angie finally showed us the messages after Karen suggested they meet secretly at a mall. Angie was uncomfortable with the idea but felt guilty about the situation. We reassured Angie that she had done nothing wrong and that Karen's behavior was inappropriate. We arranged another meeting with the school, explaining the new development. They were supportive and helped ensure that students knew not to pass messages or phones to Angie from her grandmother. Then something unexpected happened. Mike, Davis's brother, came to our house one evening. He asked to speak with Davis and me privately. Once we were alone, Mike broke down. He apologized for his role in the situation, admitting that he had helped Karen obtain the DNA samples. Karen had convinced him that she only wanted to confirm Davis was the father of all 3 children to put her mind at ease after overhearing the sleep-talking incident. Mike said he never imagined Karen would reveal the results the way she did. He thought if the test showed Davis wasn't Angie's father, Karen would discuss it privately with him first. Mike had been racked with guilt since everything happened. Davis was furious with his brother. He asked how Mike could betray our trust like that. Mike had no good answer except that their mother had always been able to manipulate him. He'd always sought her approval. Despite his anger, Davis told Mike he appreciated the honesty. Mike offered to sign a statement about Karen's actions for our lawyer, which could help our case if Karen pursued legal action for grandparent rights. A week later, we received notice that Karen had indeed filed a formal petition for grandparent visitation rights. Our lawyer advised us that the case wasn't strong, but we would need to appear in court. The hearing was scheduled for a month later. During that time, Karen stepped up her campaign to paint herself as a victim. She contacted more family members and friends, telling them we were keeping her grandchildren from her because of an honest mistake. She claimed she was only trying to protect her son from a wife who had lied to him for years. The day before the court hearing, we received a surprising phone call. It was Karen's pastor. He introduced himself and explained that Karen had been sharing her version of events with the church community. However, after hearing rumors that Angie was being bullied because of information that originated from their prayer group, he became concerned. The pastor had called to apologize for the role his congregation might have played in spreading harmful information. He also mentioned that after speaking with Karen extensively, he was troubled by her inability to recognize the harm she had caused. He offered to serve as a character witness for us if needed, saying that while he tried to support all his congregation members, he couldn't condone actions that hurt innocent children. We thanked him but said we hoped it wouldn't be necessary to involve him. The court hearing itself was brief but intense. Karen appeared with her own lawyer, who argued that she had a loving relationship with her grandchildren for years before we abruptly cut contact. Karen testified that she made a mistake out of concern for her son, but her intentions were good. When our lawyer presented evidence of Karen's actions, the unauthorized DNA testing, the public revelation at the restaurant, the sharing of private information that led to bullying, and the attempts to contact Angie behind our backs, the judge's expression grew increasingly stern. Angie had written a statement that was submitted to the court. She stated that while she had loved her grandmother, she now felt betrayed and unsafe around her. She described how Karen's actions had led to her being bullied and how Karen had tried to manipulate her into secret meetings. The judge ruled against Karen's petition, stating that her actions showed a disregard for the children's well-being. He issued a temporary restraining order preventing Karen from contacting any of us for 6 months, after which the situation would be re-evaluated. Karen broke down in the courtroom. As we were leaving, she called out to Davis, asking how he could do this to his own mother. Davis didn't respond. Outside the courthouse, Mike was waiting. He told us Karen had been telling family members that I had manipulated the court with a sob story about my assault. Davis told Mike to make sure Karen understood that if she continued spreading lies or trying to contact us, we would pursue more permanent legal action. That night, Davis and I talked about how the situation had affected our family. Despite the stress and pain, we agreed that in some ways, it had brought us closer together. Angie and Davis's bond had strengthened. Jack had shown maturity beyond his years in supporting his sister. Even Sammy seemed to understand, in her 8-year-old way, that family is about love and protection, not just blood. Davis admitted something he'd been keeping to himself. For years, he had occasionally wondered about Angie's paternity but had pushed those thoughts away. The DNA test results, while shocking in how they were revealed, had also brought a strange sense of clarity. The question that had lingered in the back of his mind was answered. Angie wasn't biologically his, but that didn't change how he felt about her. If anything, it made their relationship more special because it was chosen, not dictated by genetics. We're still healing, but each day gets a little easier. Angie's school situation has improved. The bullying stopped after the school's intervention, and Angie has found support among her true friends who don't care about her origins. As for Karen, we haven't heard from her directly since the court hearing. Mike tells us she's still upset but seems to finally understand that her actions have consequences. Whether our relationship with her can ever be repaired remains to be seen. For now, we're focused on healing our family. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share a final update on our situation with Karen. The temporary restraining order expired last month. In the days leading up to its expiration, Davis and I discussed what to do next. We decided not to pursue an extension unless Karen attempted to contact us again. 2 weeks after the order expired, we received a letter from Karen. It wasn't sent through a lawyer this time, just a regular envelope with her handwriting. Inside was a 5-page handwritten letter addressed to both of us. Unlike her previous attempts at communication, this letter contained no justifications or excuses. Karen acknowledged that what she did was wrong on every level. She wrote that she had been seeing a therapist since the court hearing, which had helped her recognize her controlling behavior and lack of boundaries. Karen wrote that while she hoped someday we might allow her back into our lives, she understood if that never happened. She said she would respect our decision either way. The most significant part of the letter was addressed to Angie. Karen asked if we would pass along her apology to Angie. She took full responsibility for the pain she caused and acknowledged that she had betrayed Angie's trust in an unforgivable way. Davis and I discussed the letter for several days before deciding how to respond. We agreed to show Angie the letter and let her decide if she wanted any contact with her grandmother. Angie read the letter carefully. She didn't say anything for a while after reading it. Then she asked if Karen had really been going to therapy or if this was just another attempt to manipulate us. It was a fair question, and we didn't have an answer. Angie decided she wasn't ready to have Karen back in her life. She said maybe someday, but not now. She asked if I would write a response to Karen, telling her that while the apology was appreciated, Angie needed more time and space. I wrote the letter as Angie requested, keeping it brief but polite. We sent it a week ago and haven't heard back from Karen yet. Meanwhile, our family has settled into a new normal. Angie will graduate high school in a few months and has been accepted to several colleges. She's excited about studying biology, an interest that developed partly due to learning about her genetic background. Davis and Angie completed a project they've been working on for years, restoring a vintage motorcycle. They took it for its first ride last weekend, with Angie driving and Davis on the back. Seeing them return home, laughing and talking about the ride, reinforced what we already knew: their bond has nothing to do with DNA. Jack has become more outspoken about protecting his family. When a distant relative made an insensitive comment about the situation at a recent family gathering, Jack calmly but firmly told them that his sister's origins were nobody's business and that his family was off limits for gossip. Sammy, now 9, has stopped asking questions about why we don't see Grandma Karen anymore. She's accepted our explanation that sometimes adults make mistakes that can't be fixed easily. Mike and Davis have slowly rebuilt their relationship. Mike has made efforts to prove his loyalty to us rather than Karen, including declining to attend family events where Karen planned to discuss our situation. He admits he still sees his mother occasionally but doesn't discuss us with her. As for me, I've started volunteering at a support center for assault survivors. The DNA test revelation forced me to confront aspects of my trauma that I had pushed aside for years. Working with others who understand has been healing in ways I didn't expect. Davis and I celebrated our 24th wedding anniversary last month. We didn't do anything extravagant, just dinner at home with the kids. After the kids went to bed, Davis gave me a card that said, "Thank you for our family." Simple words that meant everything. I don't know if we'll ever have a relationship with Karen again. Maybe time will heal these wounds, or maybe some breaks can't be repaired. What matters is that our family, Davis, Angie, Jack, Sammy, and me, remains intact. We've weathered this storm together, and I believe we've come out stronger for it. Angie said something the other day that stuck with me. She said, "When people ask about my family, I tell them I have a mom and dad who chose me, a brother who defends me, and a little sister who looks up to me. That's what matters." She's right. That's what matters. Now let's move to the next story. Story 2: My husband had an affair and stole our daughter's college fund. I kicked him out and rebuilt my life. I, 32F, never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am. My husband Andy, 34M, and I have been married for 5 years, and we have a 3-year-old daughter, Tiffany. Our story began 10 years ago when we met at a mutual friend's barbecue. I was fresh out of college, working my first job as a junior graphic designer, and Andy was 2 years into his career at a tech startup. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared love of 90s sitcoms and spicy food. Our relationship progressed quickly. Within a year, we were living together, and 2 years later, Andy proposed during a weekend getaway to the beach. It was perfect. He even remembered to bring my favorite strawberry champagne. We got married in a small ceremony surrounded by our closest friends and family. My dad, who had been battling cancer, was able to walk me down the aisle. He passed away just 6 months later, making those wedding memories even more precious. Andy was my rock during that difficult time. He held me when I cried, made me laugh when I needed it, and never complained when I wanted to spend hours looking at old family photos. His support made me love him even more, and I thought we could get through anything together. 2 years into our marriage, we decided to start trying for a baby. It took longer than we expected, and we went through some tough times with fertility treatments. But finally, we got the news we'd been hoping for. 9 months later, our beautiful Tiffany was born. She had Andy's blue eyes and my curly hair, and we were both smitten from the moment we saw her. Everything was great until Andy's company transferred him to a new city last year. The startup he'd been with had been acquired by a larger tech firm, and they wanted Andy to head up a new division in their headquarters. It was a huge opportunity for him: more money, more responsibility, a chance to really make his mark in the industry. We decided to move together for his career, even though it meant leaving behind our families and friends. It was a hard decision. My mom was getting older and I hated the thought of moving Tiffany away from her grandmother. Andy's parents had retired to Florida a few years earlier, so they were already at a distance. But we had a solid group of friends, people we'd known since college, couples we'd met through parenting groups. Leaving them behind was tough. But we thought it would be an adventure. A chance to start fresh in a new place, make new friends, explore a new city. We sold our starter home, the one we'd lovingly renovated together over weekends and holidays, and bought a bigger house in the new city. It had a yard for Tiffany to play in and an extra bedroom we talked about turning into a nursery for a future sibling for her. At first, things were okay. Andy was busy with his new job, working long hours to prove himself in his new role. I was taking care of Tiffany full-time, trying to get us settled in the new house and city. I joined a few mom groups, hoping to make some new friends, but it was slow going. I missed the easy camaraderie I'd had with my old friends, the inside jokes and shared history. But about 6 months ago, Andy started acting strange. He was working late more often, always on his phone, and seemed distant. When he was home, he was distracted, often staring at his phone or laptop instead of engaging with Tiffany and me. Date nights, which we'd always prioritized even after Tiffany was born, became less frequent and then stopped altogether. I tried to talk to him about it, but he just brushed it off as work stress. He said the new position was more demanding than he'd expected, that he was under a lot of pressure to deliver results. I wanted to be supportive, remembering how he'd been there for me when my dad died, so I tried to be patient. Then, 2 months ago, I found out why he'd really been so distant. Andy had been having an affair with his coworker, Sammy, 29F. I discovered it in the most cliché way possible. A text message popped up on his phone while he was in the shower. "Can't wait to see you later, babe. Last night was amazing." I was devastated. When I confronted him, he broke down and confessed everything. He said it started as just friendship. Sammy was new to the company too, and they bonded over being the new kids in the office. They started having lunch together, then drinks after work. He swore he never meant for it to go further, but one night, after a particularly stressful day at work, one drink led to another, and he swore it was over and begged for forgiveness. He said he'd made a terrible mistake, that he loved me and Tiffany more than anything. He promised to do whatever it took to make things right. I was torn. On one hand, I loved Andy. We'd been through so much together, the joy of our wedding, the pain of losing my dad, the struggle to conceive Tiffany, the excitement of starting our life in a new city. He was the father of my child, the man I'd planned to grow old with. And I wanted to keep our family together for Tiffany's sake. She adored her daddy, and the thought of breaking her heart was almost as painful as Andy's betrayal. On the other hand, I felt completely betrayed. This wasn't just a one-night stand, a drunken mistake. This was an ongoing affair. He'd been lying to me for months, coming home to me and Tiffany after being with another woman. How could I ever trust him again? After a lot of thought, I decided to give him another chance, but with conditions. He had to change jobs. I couldn't stand the thought of him working with Sammy every day. He had to go to marriage counseling with me. We clearly had issues we needed to work through. And he had to be completely transparent about his whereabouts and communications. No more passwords on his phone, no more secret late nights at the office. And he agreed to everything. He found a new job at a different company, started counseling with me, and even gave me access to his phone and email. For a while, things seemed to be improving. We were talking more, spending time together as a family, and slowly rebuilding trust. The counseling was helping us communicate better, and I started to hope that maybe we could get through this. But last week, everything fell apart again. I was using Andy's laptop to check our joint bank account when I noticed some strange transactions. There were several large withdrawals and transfers to an account I didn't recognize. At first, I thought it might be a mistake, or maybe even fraud. But when I dug deeper, I found emails between Andy and Sammy discussing their plans to move in together. It turns out, Andy never ended the affair. He had been lying to me this whole time, pretending to work on our marriage while secretly planning to leave me for Sammy. He had been siphoning money from our joint account to set up a new life with her. All those late nights at his new job? He was with Sammy. The marriage counseling? Just a show to keep me from suspecting anything. I confronted Andy as soon as he got home. He didn't even try to deny it this time. He just said he was sorry, but he loved Sammy and wanted to be with her. He said he had been trying to find the right time to tell me, but couldn't bring himself to do it. He claimed he still cared about me and Tiffany, that he never meant to hurt us, but he couldn't deny his feelings for Sammy any longer. I'm devastated and angry. Not just because of the affair, but because of all the lies and manipulation. He let me believe we were fixing things, all while planning his exit. I feel like such a fool for trusting him again. All those hours in counseling, all the tears I shed, all the effort I put into rebuilding our relationship, it was all for nothing. Now, I'm left to pick up the pieces. I've kicked Andy out and I'm planning to file for divorce. But I'm scared about the future. I'm in a city where I have no real support system, with a young child to care for, and now I find out our finances are a mess because of Andy's deception. The money he took was meant to be Tiffany's college fund. We've been saving since before she was born, wanting to give her the best start in life. And now a big chunk of it is gone. I don't know how to tell Tiffany that her daddy isn't coming home. She's only 3, but she's smart and perceptive. She already knows something is wrong. She keeps asking where daddy is, why he isn't coming to tuck her in at night. How do I explain to her that the father she adores has chosen another woman over us? I don't know how I'm going to manage as a single mom in a place where I have no friends or family. My mom is too old to travel easily, and all our old friends are back in our hometown. I gave up my career to move here for Andy's job, and now I'm left with a gap in my resume and an industry that's moved on without me. I'm angry at Andy for putting us in this situation, but I'm also angry at myself for not seeing through his lies. Were there signs I missed? Should I have known better than to trust him again after the first betrayal? I keep replaying every conversation, every interaction in my head, wondering if I could have done something differently. I guess I'm looking for advice on how to move forward. How do I explain this to Tiffany? How do I start rebuilding my life? Has anyone been through something similar? Any words of wisdom would be appreciated. I feel so alone and overwhelmed right now, and I could really use some support. Update 1. It's been a month since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their kind words and advice. Your support really helped me during those first difficult days when I felt like my world was falling apart. After kicking Andy out, I immediately contacted a lawyer. A friend from one of the mom groups I'd joined recommended her, saying she'd helped her through her own divorce a few years ago. The lawyer advised me to freeze our joint accounts to prevent Andy from taking more money. I'm glad I did because Andy tried to make another large withdrawal the next day. Apparently, he and Sammy had put a deposit down on an apartment together and he was trying to get money for furniture. I also started gathering evidence of Andy's affair and financial deception. The lawyers said this would be crucial for the divorce proceedings and custody arrangements. It was painful going through all the emails and bank statements, seeing in black and white how long Andy had been lying to me. But it also made me even more certain that I was making the right decision. There were messages going back months, long before I first confronted him about the affair. He and Sammy had been planning their future together while he was sitting across from me in marriage counseling, promising to work on our relationship. Telling Tiffany was the hardest part. How do you explain to a 3-year-old that her daddy doesn't live with us anymore? Following the advice of a child psychologist, I explained that daddy made some bad choices and wouldn't be living with us anymore, but that both of us still love her very much. She's been having a hard time understanding, and it breaks my heart to see her ask for Andy every day. She's been having nightmares and has started wetting the bed again, things she hadn't done in over a year. The psychologist says this is normal, that she's processing her emotions the only way she knows how, but it's still hard to watch my little girl struggle like this. As for Andy, he's been trying to backpedal. When he realized I was serious about the divorce, he suddenly changed his tune. He claims he made a mistake, that he got caught up in the excitement of a new relationship but now realizes what he'd be losing. He says he wants to work things out, that he'll do anything to keep our family together. But I'm not falling for it this time. I told him all communication needs to go through our lawyers unless it's about Tiffany. Sammy, Andy's affair partner, actually reached out to me. She claimed she had no idea Andy was still with me and thought we were already separated. According to her, Andy told her our marriage had been over for months and we were just trying to figure out the logistics of separating. She apologized profusely, saying she never meant to be the other woman. I'm not sure if I believe her, but it doesn't really matter at this point. The damage is done, regardless of what she did or didn't know. On a more positive note, I've started looking for a job. It's been years since I worked, having been a stay-at-home mom since Tiffany was born. Before that, I was a graphic designer, but the industry has changed so much in the last few years that I feel completely out of touch. I've been taking some online courses to brush up on my skills and learn the new software that's become standard since I left the workforce. It's been challenging, especially trying to find time to study while taking care of Tiffany, but it feels good to be doing something proactive. I've had a few interviews, mostly for entry-level positions that I'm probably overqualified for, but I'm trying not to be too picky. I need to become financially independent, and I figure any job is a good starting point. I'm hopeful something will come through soon. In the meantime, I've picked up a few freelance design jobs through some online platforms. It's not much, but it's helping to keep us afloat and it's good for my portfolio. I've also reached out to some mom groups in the area. It's been nice to connect with other women, some of whom have been through similar situations. They've been a great source of support and practical advice. One of the moms, Lisa, has become a real friend. Her son is in the same preschool class as Tiffany, and she's been through a divorce herself. She's been an incredible help, offering to watch Tiffany when I have job interviews and just being there to listen when I need to vent. My parents offered to let Tiffany and me move back home with them. It's tempting, especially for the support, but I'm hesitant to uproot Tiffany again so soon. She's already dealing with so much change, and I worry that moving her away from her preschool and the few friends she's made here would be too much. For now, I'm trying to make it work here. But I haven't ruled out moving back home in the future, especially if I can't find a job here soon. The divorce proceedings have started, and it's going to be a long process. Andy is contesting the division of assets, claiming he shouldn't have to split everything 50-50 since he was the primary earner. He's trying to claim that the money he took from our joint account was his to begin with since he earned it. My lawyer assures me we have a strong case, especially given his infidelity and financial deception. She says that in our state, the fact that I gave up my career to support his and to raise our child will be taken into consideration. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. Some days I feel strong and determined, ready to take on the world as a single mom. Other days I can barely get out of bed, overwhelmed by grief and fear about the future. But I'm taking it one day at a time and focusing on what's best for Tiffany and me. I'm trying to establish new routines for us, to create a sense of stability in the midst of all this chaos. I've also started seeing a therapist myself. It's helping me process my feelings about Andy's betrayal and rebuild my self-esteem. I realize now that I had lost a lot of myself in our marriage, especially after we moved for Andy's job. I'm slowly rediscovering who I am outside of being Andy's wife and Tiffany's mom. Thank you again for all your support. It means more than you know to have a place to share my story and receive such kindness from strangers. I'll update again when there are significant developments. Update 2. It's been 3 months since my last update, and 6 months since I discovered Andy's betrayal. A lot has changed, and I wanted to share the developments with you all. First, the good news, I got a job. It's an entry-level position at a marketing firm, focusing on digital design. It's not exactly where I was in my career before I took time off to raise Tiffany, but it's a start. The hours are flexible, which helps with taking care of Tiffany. My new boss, Maria, has been understanding about my situation and has allowed me to work from home 2 days a week. It's been challenging juggling work and single parenthood, but it feels good to be financially independent again. The job came through a connection I made at one of the mom groups. One of the other moms, Jenna, works at the firm and put in a good word for me. It just goes to show how important networking can be, even in unexpected places. I'm grateful for the community I've found here, despite the difficult circumstances that led me to it. The divorce proceedings are moving forward, albeit slowly. Andy initially tried to lowball me on the settlement, offering much less than what my lawyer says I'm entitled to. He tried to argue that since he was the primary earner, he should keep most of the assets. But my lawyer stood firm, pointing out that my role as a stay-at-home parent allowed Andy to advance his career. We're still negotiating, but it looks like I'll get a fair share of our assets, including the house. Interestingly, Andy's attempts to hide money have actually worked against him in court. The judge was not impressed when we presented evidence of the funds he'd been siphoning off to set up his new life with Sammy. It's looking like I might even be awarded a larger share of our assets as a result of his deception. Custody has been another battle. Andy is pushing for 50-50 custody, but given his history of deception and the fact that he's living with Sammy now, my lawyer thinks we have a good case for primary custody with Andy having visitation rights. We've presented evidence of Andy's inconsistent involvement in Tiffany's life over the past few months, including missed visitations and last-minute cancellations. The judge seems to be leaning in our favor, but nothing is certain yet. Tiffany is adjusting, slowly but surely. She still has moments where she cries for Andy, especially at bedtime, but she's also becoming more settled in our new routine. I've enrolled her in a play therapy program, which seems to be helping her process her emotions. Her therapist says she's making good progress, but that it will take time for her to fully adjust to the new family dynamic. I've also noticed that Tiffany has become very clingy with me. She gets upset when I leave her at preschool and often wants to sleep in my bed at night. The therapist says this is normal given the circumstances and has given me some strategies to help Tiffany feel more secure. It's hard, but I'm trying to be patient and give her the extra attention she needs right now. As for me, I'm doing better. The mom group I joined has been a lifeline. We meet up regularly for playdates and adult conversation. It's nice to have friends who understand what I'm going through. Last weekend, we had a spa day at Lisa's house while her husband watched all the kids. It was just face masks and nail polish in her living room, but it felt so good to relax and laugh with friends for a few hours. I've also started a yoga class twice a week. My mom comes over to watch Tiffany, and those few hours of self-care have made a big difference in my stress levels. It's teaching me to be more mindful and present, which is helping me cope with the ongoing stress of the divorce and single parenthood. One unexpected development: Andy and Sammy broke up. Apparently, the reality of being together full-time, plus the stress of the divorce and custody battle, was too much for their relationship. Andy tried to use this as a reason for us to reconcile, but I shut that down immediately. Too much has happened, and I can't go back to that life of mistrust and betrayal. Andy seems genuinely regretful now. He's been more consistent with his visitations with Tiffany and has even offered to pay more child support than the court is likely to order. Part of me is glad to see him stepping up as a father, but another part of me is angry that it took all of this for him to realize what he had. Looking ahead, I'm cautiously optimistic. It's been a hard road, but I'm starting to see a future for Tiffany and me that doesn't revolve around Andy's choices. I'm focusing on building our new life, one day at a time. I'm even thinking about taking some advanced design courses to further my career prospects. I know there will still be challenges ahead. The divorce isn't finalized yet, and I'm sure there will be ongoing issues with co-parenting. But I feel stronger now, more capable of handling whatever comes our way. Thank you all for your continued support. Your kind words and advice have meant more than you know. I'll update again when the divorce is finalized. Update 3, it's been a year since my original post, and I wanted to give you all a final update. So much has changed, and I'm in a much better place now. The divorce is finally finalized. After months of negotiations and court appearances, we reached a settlement. I got primary custody of Tiffany, with Andy having visitation every other weekend and one evening a week. We sold the house and split the proceeds, which gave me enough to put a down payment on a small condo for Tiffany and me. It's not as big as our old house, but it's ours, and we're making it a home. Financially, things are stable. I'm still at the marketing firm and recently got a promotion to senior designer. It's not easy being a working single mom, but we're managing. I've also started a small side business doing freelance graphic design, which brings in some extra income. It's mostly weekend work when Tiffany is with Andy, and it's helping me rebuild my professional portfolio. Tiffany is thriving. She's adjusted well to our new life and is doing great in kindergarten. She's made new friends and is involved in ballet classes, which she loves. She still sees Andy regularly, and while their relationship is different now, it's good to see them bonding. Andy has been more consistent with his visitations lately, which has helped Tiffany feel more secure. Co-parenting with Andy has its challenges, but we're making it work. We use a co-parenting app to communicate about Tiffany's schedule and needs, which helps keep things civil and focused on Tiffany. There are still moments of tension, especially around holidays and special events, but we're both committed to putting Tiffany first. As for me, I've grown so much through this experience. Therapy has been incredibly helpful, and I've learned a lot about setting boundaries and valuing myself. I've rediscovered old hobbies and interests that I had put aside during my marriage. I've joined a book club and started painting again, something I loved in college but hadn't done in years. I've even started dating again, casually. It's scary putting myself out there, but it's also exciting to think about the possibilities. I've been on a few dates with a single dad I met through Tiffany's school. It's nothing serious yet, but it's nice to have adult conversations that don't revolve around work or parenting. My relationship with my family has grown stronger through all of this. My mom comes to visit more often now, and we talk on the phone almost every day. She's been an incredible support, both emotionally and practically. And I've reconnected with old friends from before I moved away. Modern technology makes it easier to stay in touch, and I'm grateful for these renewed connections. Andy and I have reached a place of civil co-parenting. It's not always easy, and there are still moments of resentment and hurt, but we're both committed to putting Tiffany first. Andy has apologized multiple times for his actions, and while I'll never forget what happened, I'm learning to forgive for my own peace of mind. Looking back, I can't believe how much has changed in a year. There were moments when I thought I wouldn't make it through, but here I am, stronger and happier than I ever thought possible. I've learned that I'm more resilient than I ever knew, and that it's okay to ask for help when you need it. To anyone going through something similar, know that it does get better. It's not easy, and there will be tough days, but you're stronger than you think. Surround yourself with support, focus on self-care, and take it one day at a time. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. Your support and advice have been invaluable. While this chapter of my life is closing, I'm excited to see what the future holds for Tiffany and me.